Really quick, everybody, this entire video will be timestamped, so if you do not want to watch all and just get straight into a different fight, please check the pinned comment or the little red bar right down below you. Again, this entire video will be timestamped, and I'd appreciate you guys watching whatever part that you'd like to. If you're sticking around, guys, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with too many YouTube channels, and welcome back to our full card breakdown and predictions for UFC Fight Night, Holloway vs. Allen. Like I said, we're going to go through every single fight, and timestamps will be there if you need them. So let's get into the first fight right now. Starting off with the first fight, we have Joselyne Edwards versus Lucie Pudilova. Now, this one, of course, and every time we talk about women's MMA, anything can happen, right? We just saw it happen last weekend with the Karate Hottie, and you think one fighter, and you know what, that was a little bit of a robbery decision, but still, I was sure she was going to lose that fight, and then she came in and just had an amazing performance. That seems to be the story with women's MMA. However, I do believe Edwards will take this fight. In saying that, though, again, like I just said, anything could happen. It's just, it'll probably be a kickboxing match. She'll probably end to a decision. I gotta go with Edwards because I feel like she might be a little bit better in the striking department, but I think she has more speed, and Lucie doesn't really offer any danger when she strikes. Plus, Joselyne Edwards, and I know, like, she won 2 and then lost 2, but she's fought better opponents than Lucie has, but still, she's coming off a 3-fight win streak. It could go either way, this one, but I still am going to go on the side of Edwards with this one. Moving on to the next fight, this one should be interesting. It's Gaston Bolanos versus Phillips. Now, this will be Gaston's debut in the UFC, coming over from Bellator. I have seen this guy but fight before. However, in saying this, guys, if you're taking anything that I have to say in this video, I wouldn't really listen to me in this fight because I don't know how many times I've actually seen Gaston fight. I just know him. And Phillips, we haven't seen him in a long time. So this is a fight where it's like, I don't know. I don't know what could happen. Like, Dream Killer, 6-3, coming off of a nice win, coming into the UFC. The problem is, I don't remember which fights were which. I know I've seen him fight before because I do watch Bellator, but I don't pay attention to their fighters nearly as much as the UFC. I do know that he is quite explosive, and he has some really, really nice power in his hands. If I had to guess, I think he would get the win over the Dragon, because Phillips hasn't fought in a long time. It's been 2 years, 8 months. I didn't realize it was that long. Hence, that loss did age very well in Jack Shore. Jack Shore looks like he's amazing, but still, he has some wins, but nothing of significance. You know what I mean? It's been so long since he's out. He's 33 now. Who knows how he's going to look upon his return? Gaston, at least we know that he is a good fighter, and I'm not saying Aaron isn't a good fighter. It's just nothing has been proven at all to me from Aaron. So I am going to go with Gaston Bolanos to win this fight. But again, like, I don't know because I'm not exactly really familiar with the fighter. Moving on to the next fight, guys, this one should be pretty interesting. We have Bruna Brasil versus Denise Gomes. Now, Bruna Brasil looks really nice. It's 8-2 so far and very promotable. Here's the thing. She seems to be good everywhere, but not great anywhere. It's just you could throw her in. I feel like she would beat all of the subpar, like, of the fighters of the women's division here. Denise Gomes, though, I don't know. It's tough because she had her last loss against Loma Lukbunmi, and Loma's an okay fighter, especially for that division, right? She looked okay, but from her previous fights, we do know that she has no problem just throwing herself into the fight and really, really working. Bruna Brasil hasn't fought anyone like Denise yet. If she goes in there and faces some adversity, we don't know exactly how she's going to look, especially since this is a step up in competition. It's not to say that this is an amazing step up in competition. I'm saying this will be a step up in competition. I do want to go with the special one because, again, I'm not looking this like, it's not going to be exactly a brawler versus a technician, right? It's just, we know that Denise Gomes has no problem going in there and making the fight dirty. And what's that going to look like when the special one faces that, if she is unable to keep her on the outside? I think she will be able to do that, though. And you got to think, like, I'm one of those people who think, like, you know what, this girl's pretty promotable, so maybe they do want to give her a little bit of a favorable matchup, which I can see the matchup being a little bit favorable. I can see her winning a comfortable decision, but I'm not too sure. Like, it's a close fight, and again, women's MMA, anything can happen, right? But I am going to go with Bruna Brasil in this one. Moving on to the next fight, Lando Vannata versus Daniel Zellhuber. Now, this is a tough one. This is a really, really tough one. I think Lando Vannata was great. Or not was. He is great. I think he's really good. He's always exciting. I like watching him fight. I think that he can compete with anybody in the division. But he comes up short so many times. It's like, is it going to happen again? Because even if he, like, shows up and he looks fantastic, who's to say he won't get knocked out? But these losses have aged extremely well. Look at his last fighters. He's 31, and something to note is he was a featherweight, and he's now moving up to the 155 division. So will that help him? Will it hurt him? He's obviously already a little bit undersized if you take a look at the height. He's fighting the fight's okay, but the reach, he's going to be at a reach disadvantage. And I don't know how much I like that for Vannata. Daniel Zellhuber, on the other hand, coming off a pretty, not a horrible loss, but it's his first really hiccup in the UFC. He was 12-0 before, 12-0 before that. He's really good. He's a really good kickboxer. Oh, this is a tough one, man. I'm like 60-40 on this one. I might pick Daniel Zellhuber to win this because there's too many questions on Lando Vannata. Is he going to come up and is he going to look horrible at the new weight? Was he really draining himself? I mean, he didn't look like he was at the point of death at all at featherweight. Isn't it sad that we have to say that kind of stuff, right? Well, he wasn't dying, so then I guess he's good to go. But still, it didn't look like the weight cut was really hurting Vannata. So I don't know how much this is going to really improve. It's tough. It's tough, man. I'm 60-40 on this one, but I am going to pick Golden Boy to win this. I feel like he'll be able to keep Lando Vannata on the outside, but Vannata does have that power to change stuff. It's a tough fight. I hope Vannata wins because he really needs it, but I don't know if he's going to win this one. He could, but I'm going to go with Daniel to take this one. Moving on to the next fight, Piera Rodriguez versus Gillian Robertson. I don't have too much to say about this fight. I'm not convinced that Gillian Robertson's really good. 11-7 kind of speaks for itself. Plus, coming out of Canada, and a lot of fighters from Canada don't do well unless you're really something special. If you have watched my channel at all, I think it's a pretty safe thing to say, and I'm Canadian, so I can say that it's pretty safe to say that anybody from Canada will come up short. Gillian Robertson has done pretty much nothing but come up short, but she got a win that I didn't think was going to happen last time around, And it's something to notice, a lot of people are really hyping up Gillian Robertson right now because she did beat Rose Namajunas in Fury FC. If you don't know what that is, that's grappling. She looked great there. I'm not going to lie. She looked great. I watched that, and I was quite surprised because we all know how good Rose Namajunas is, but you could really kind of chalk that up to Rose not being herself anymore. You know what I mean? Piera Rodriguez looked good so far. She's a dangerous grappler. Has some really good striking behind her, too, but I don't know, man. I'm just not hyped on Gillian Robertson. I think she's going to lose. I have nothing really in-depth to say here. I got Rodriguez. I think 11-7 kind of speaks for itself, 9-0. But again, women's MMA, anything can happen, right? Moving on to the next fight, and I think I said this a lot so far, guys, but this is another interesting fight. Ed Herman versus Zach Cummings. I forgot Ed Herman was coming back. It's been a long time for both of them. I know it's been, almost 2 years. Alonzo Menifield was his last fight, but that lost his age well, to be honest with you. Zach Cummings has also been off 2 years and 6 months. Yeah, I knew it's been a little while, but geez. I'm a little bit different from a lot of people who really look into fights. If you're past 40 and your name's not Glover Teixeira, I'm not picking you. Honestly, the skill sets are kind of even. I can see them coming back and forth a little bit, but he's been off for so long. But then Zach Cummings has been off for 3 years, man. Tough. But he's 38, and we still see fighters have some success. And Zach Cummings has also fought better opponents. Toughy. When you're taking a look at that, Ed Herman, 3 wins, and then Alonzo Menifield, lost age very well. 42 years old. Don't like it. You're too changed. You're too old for the sport at 42. That is the entire reason that I'm picking Zach Cummings. I don't care how long he's been off. I got Ed Herman, I was about to say. Excuse me. I have Zach Cummings in this fight. Moving on to the next fight, and this one could be fight of the night, guys. I got Brandon Royval versus Matheus Nicolau. Now, I'm one of those guys that is all over the Nicolau train, and I'm not the only one saying that. It's not like I'm telling you groundbreaking news here. I think he's going to win this fight. He's just looked amazing. He has looked so good in his last fights. He's good everywhere. A lot of people are really riding this guy to be champion. I don't know yet. Against Brandon Moreno, toughy. Still, amazing fighter. But Brandon Royval's no joke. You know what? He's looked great in his last 2 fights, especially his last one. And I don't even remember, did I think he was going to win that fight? Matt Schnell's one of those guys where it's like, hey, anything could happen. But to get a win over him is pretty good. And then, they both, I knew he fought Matt Schnell too. I didn't know that was his last fight. But still, he's looked great so far. Brandon Royval's a little bit more reckless on the side of things. He has skill set everywhere, but still he has no problem throwing himself into the fight. I can see him really going forward and trying to take Nicolau's head off, but then he's going to eat a hook or something. I can see Nicolau finishing this fight anywhere. I can see him knocking him out. I can see him knocking him down, slipping up his submission because he's all dazed up. I can even see him winning a decision. I think no matter what happens here, he will be a step ahead, and Royval just won't be able to keep up. Well, he'll be able to keep up, it just won't be to the level that Nicolau's at. Does that make any sense? They will always be like one step behind. I got Nicolau. I don't know how he's going to win. I think he could win anyway. I'm really high on this dude. Moving on to the next fight, TJ Brown versus Bill Algeo. I don't know who's going to win this one. I don't know, because I feel like their skill sets are somewhat similar. Let's take a look at like who they fought last. Okay, Eric Silva. I haven't been following their careers too closely. Oh, Bill Algeo. You're ringing a bell now. Andre Philly. Sorry guys, I know like who they fight, but still like I just don't follow them enough where it's like this was his last fight. Yeah, that was a little bit of a bad one, but still his wins haven't really aged too well. Bill Algeo. TJ Brown though isn't really that impressive. He's like an okay fighter. You know what I mean? But Bill Algeo, he's a little bit more than okay. This is one of those fights where it's like, I'm not so convinced either of these guys are going to really get to the top. You know what I mean? This one's a little bit of a 50-50 for me. Maybe 55-45 on the side of Algeo. It's tough. It's tough. Brown has some good jiu-jitsu, but Algeo I feel like might just be better. No matter where they go, Algeo probably has a better striking. TJ Brown, it might be a little bit hard to read Algeo when he strikes. Tough fight. I'm going to lean towards Algeo. Well, I'm not too sure on this one. Moving on to the next fight, we have Clay Guida versus Rafa Garcia. Now, I am a big fan of Clay Guida. I really like Clay Guida, so I hope he wins. But will he win? I know I just said, if you've been watching the video and you didn't skip through, I literally just said if you're over 40, I don't pick you. Okay, unless your name's Glover Teixeira. I think Clay Guida kind of fits that bill too, because Clay Guida has not showed any signs whatsoever of slowing down. At all. His pace is insane. He's a very active fighter, and he's been competing in Fury, looking good there. I've been following this guy forever. Love Clay Guida. Rafa Garcia, though, he's looked okay so far. He hasn't really fought anybody of significance, okay? But his skill set seems to be pretty good. This is going to be a striker versus grappler type thing, in my opinion. Clay Guida, we all know what he's going to do. He's going to go in and try to get the takedown. Question is, will Rafa Garcia be able to defend the takedown? Will he be able to handle the pressure? Another question is, when will Clay Guida slow down? He hasn't started slowing down yet. 41 years old. That day is coming soon. Will it be this fight? So it's not safe to pick Clay Guida. However, I want to say he'll take this one because I don't know if Rafa will be able to handle that pressure. We haven't seen him be able to handle anything like Clay Guida will bring you so far. I'm going to pick Clay Guida by decision or submission, but I know that day's coming. That day's coming where he's going to slow down. Will it be this fight? I don't know. I'm assuming it's not going to be yet. That's why I'm picking Clay Guida. I think the pressure will get to Rafa Garcia. I think he's going to get the win. Moving on to the next fight, Pedro Munhoz versus Chris Gutierrez. Now, Pedro Munhoz, I've been a big fan for a long time. I've been a really big fan. He's 36 years old now. This was one of the worst picks that I've ever made in my life because I was telling my friends a long time ago that I thought Pedro Munhoz was going to be champion one day. And he just keeps coming up short. He had the Sean O'Malley fight. I don't think he quit, but a lot of people think he quit because going by all of Pedro Munhoz's past performances, he's shown anything but a quitter. He's anything but a quitter. But before that, Dominic Cruz, Jose Aldo, two fighters that are still good, don't get me wrong, but still, if you're not beating these guys, how are you going to get past the elite of the division? Jimmy Rivera was another fighter that I was really high on. This is tough, man, because Pedro Munhoz is good and he can hang in there, but he keeps coming up short. Chris Gutierrez, on the other hand, amazing KO win over Frankie Edgar, and I actually picked Frankie Edgar in that fight, but that was a stupid pick in hindsight. This is tough. Tough, because Chris Gutierrez, I think Pedro Munhoz would beat anybody who isn't the elite of the elite. Is Chris Gutierrez there yet? He has the capabilities of being there. He's 31 years old. He's in his prime, and he's looked so good so far. His kicks are insane. Very, very flashy with his style. Pedro Munhoz I could see Chris Gutierrez having a little bit of a wide stance at some points, and Munhoz having those horrible leg kicks. Horrible in the sense where it's like it's nasty. It'll hit hard. Man, tough fight. I'm going to side with Pedro Munhoz. I'm going to do it. Because even then, O'Malley was doing good in his last fight. How long ago was that? 9 months. We haven't seen him in a little while. tough, man. I'm picking Munhoz. And it's not biased. I'm not one of those guys to do it. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of Munhoz. I hope he wins. I like Gutierrez too, but still. I'm not convinced of Gutierrez yet. If he gets past Munhoz, I will be convinced of Chris Gutierrez. But Pedro Munhoz might chop his leg to death and just outwork him in the grappling, maybe. Because we haven't seen a ton of that yet. Yeah, I got Munhoz. I can't confidently pick Chris Gutierrez yet. But Munhoz just keeps coming up short. What if he does it again? I don't know. I'm certainly not betting on this fight. I hope Munhoz wins, and I'm going to pick him in like a 70-30 scenario. Moving on to the next fight, Ion Cutelaba versus Tanner Boser. Now, this is going to be interesting because Tanner Boser is moving down to light heavyweight. A lot of people think that's a good move for him because he was a little bit undersized at heavyweight. I think it's a good move as well, but he hasn't had a lot of success at heavyweight. You could consider him on a 3-loss streak because everybody beats Ovin St. Preux, right? Am I wrong? Sorry, all respect in the world, Ovins, but everybody beats him. Ion Cutelaba, constantly coming up short. And these wins haven't exactly, or these losses haven't exactly aged so well. He's reckless and chinny. I don't trust that. Tanner Boser, very quick heavyweight. Will that speed transfer over to the light heavyweight division? I don't know. I want to say it will. I want to say he'll be able to hang with these guys. He's big. He's powerful. He might have the size on Ion Cutelaba. I think he'll look good at light heavyweight. Depends how much the cut really gets to him. However, Boser's also Canadian. Canadians don't do too well. I'm going to pick Boser. Well, there's a lot of questions if you're changing divisions, right? I will never pick Ion Cutelaba to win. Confidently, at least. Because, again, he's way too chinny for me to pick him. I think Boser will look good at light heavyweight. But that could go against him. So just keep that in mind, especially if you are betting on this fight. I got Boser on this one. I think he'll take care of him. I think he'll chin him. I think he'll knock him out. Moving on to the next fight, we have the always exciting Dustin Jacoby versus Azmat Mirzakhanov. And I apologize, I always mispronounce some of these people's names here. Now, Dustin, coming off of a loss, okay? But this is something where I don't remember who I thought won this fight, but I remember it was close. Clear Roundtree, 5 months ago. A lot of people were really upset about this decision. I'd have to watch it again and decide who I thought won, but regardless, it was a really close fight. And again, split decision, anything could happen, right? So you could be looking at him 18-6, right? But he was a little bit spotty at the beginning, but now he's just looked so good. He's looked so good, but the problem is, Clear Roundtree was the first really good fighter that he ran into, and he came up short. But did he come up short? That's the thing. He still had a good performance. Azamat has had smooth sailing career so far. He's looked pretty good. Here's the problem, though. I think Dustin Jacoby will be bigger. He has a reach advantage, and he's an incredible kickboxer with a height advantage as well. I see a world where Dustin just keeps him at bay for 3 rounds and takes the win. But Azamat might be able to get in there and get a hold of him. 12-0, had a smooth sailing career so far. He could just bring his game plan forward and take care of business. But I want to pick Dustin Jacoby in this fight. I think he will be able, because he's going to be longer, he's going to be taller, he's a little bit more experienced. I think he's going to have a nice smooth sailing decision. But then I'm thinking, like, this dude's undefeated and he's looked good so far. What if I'm wrong? You know, it's 18-6 versus undefeated. I think we're going to see his first loss here. Tough fight, very interesting fight. The way I just see this is Jacoby just picking him apart for 3 rounds. But will it happen? I'm not so sure. Certainly not betting on this one, but I am picking Dustin Jacoby to win this fight by decision. Moving on to the co-main event, Edson Barboza versus Billy Quarantillo. I have no clue who's going to win this fight. Not a clue. This is such an amazing matchup. Probably going to be fight of the night. Okay? Here's the thing. I'm a big fan of both guys. I don't know who I want to win. It's one of those fights where I'm like, no, somebody has to lose. Barboza, coming off of 2 hard losses, and he didn't look good in those. He didn't necessarily look good in those losses. A year ago, coming back, he's 37 now. He's getting older. One of these days with Edson Barboza, and something that he's so good at, and that everybody thinks he's so dangerous. He has so much speed, he has so much power, and he can keep that pace up, assuming that he's not fighting a grappler, which he isn't. The day is going to come when we're going to see Edson Barboza go, wow, he looks a little slow, right? Will it be this day? It's like we were talking about with Clay Guida. The day's coming. Is it going to be now? I don't know. He's taken a lot of damage. Speaking of taking a lot of damage, Billy Quarantillo. Always so exciting. Shane Burgos, I know some people thought that he won this fight. I did think Shane Burgos took this fight. Amazing fight. Looked amazing against Alexander Hernandez. He's had a really good career so far. He's come up short a few times. The problem is he's a little bit unsafe. Quarantillo is a dog. I really enjoy watching him fight. He has no problem throwing himself into a firefight. And here's the thing. Okay, is Quarantillo going to go in there? And I'm not saying he's just going to go swing wild, right? I'm saying that he goes in there and anything can happen because he throws himself into the fight. Will Barboza be able to keep him on the outside and keep him at bay with kicks? Is he going to be able to slip and hit him with the straight shots, the technical shots? Barboza's not a brawler. Or will Billy Quarantillo's style overwhelm Barboza? Because we've seen Barboza crumble under pressure. I don't know who's going to take this win. 50-50 for me. Complete 50-50 for this fight. If you had a gun to my head, I'd say Barboza. But man, Quarantillo's good. When he was coming to the UFC, I was thinking this guy could be champion. I don't know about that anymore. But certainly he's not somebody you can count out against anybody in the division. Also interesting to know that Barboza is still at the featherweight division. I know he's been bouncing around. Yeah, it depends. Man, will Barboza's speed still be there? Because the day's coming. It's coming soon. Like I mentioned, I don't know who's going to get the upper hand. Whoever can implement their game plan is going to take the win this time. But I don't know. If you had a gun to my head, I'd say Barboza. But this is a 50-50 fight in my opinion. Moving on to the main event. Max Holloway versus Arnold Allen. Another fight on this card. Another fight where I'm like, I don't want either guy to lose. I really like Arnold Allen. He's so exciting and he seems like to be a really good guy. Max Holloway, how can you not love Max Holloway? You know what I mean? Tough fight against Alexander Volkanovski. This is the problem, is this fight specifically with Alexander Volkanovski. Because I don't know if it's just, he didn't look good. He had a bad performance. Volkanovski outclassed him. Was it because of what we were all speculating that's going to happen for so long? And is it Max Holloway taking a crazy amount of damage and finally catching up to him? Or is it Volkanovski being that improved, that good? I don't know. Maybe a combination of both. Holloway has that insane pressure, amazing boxing, but he was outclassed and he was constantly like 2 steps behind Volkanovski last time around. Before that, though, looked pretty good against Yair Rodriguez. Not great, but pretty good. Calvin Kattar, one of the best performances of all time, right? This dude's been really inactive, which I was just thinking about. It's a little bit surprising. Arnold Allen, though, I was so excited to finally see how he was going to go against Calvin Kattar, but then we had that horrible injury and we didn't see what happens. I'm not convinced that Allen's at the top of the division yet because he beat Dan Hooker. Looked amazing. Here's the thing. He looks so good. So good, Arnold Allen. But this was his first big test at the top of the division in Calvin Kattar, and we didn't get to see a fight. This wasn't really a win. Calvin Kattar just got injured. Taking a look at this fight stylistically, we don't know Arnold Allen. Is he going to be able to do the 5 rounds with the pace that Holloway's going to put? I don't know. These last 2 fights are so hard to predict. If Max Holloway is still the same guy and it was just Volkanovski being that good and that another level, I believe Alexander Volkanovski to be the GOAT. The GOAT of MMA. Conversation for another time whether or not that's true. But that's how high I hold Alexander Volkanovski, and losing to him means nothing. That's how I feel. But Max Holloway, the day's coming when that damage is going to catch up to him. We don't know if that was the last fight. He looks slow, but you get the point that I'm trying to say, guys. You know what I mean? I think Holloway might box his face off, and it really might get to him in the 4th or 5th round. Looking at this fight, okay, if this was the Calvin Kattar Holloway that showed up, or even the Yair Rodriguez one, ignoring that last fight if it didn't happen, I would tell you that he will box Arnold Allen's face off for 5 rounds, and it would look quite similar to the Calvin Kattar performance. That's why I'm going to pick Holloway. But I'm stuck on whether or not the Volkanovski performance was just Volkanovski, or if it was Holloway that was the problem. Perhaps both. I don't want either guy to lose. I really like Arnold Allen. It'll be better for the division if Arnold Allen wins. I don't see him beating Volkanovski. But who knows? He's 19-1. He's pretty much steamrolled everybody so far. I don't know, man. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. But I will be picking Max Holloway to get the win and an amazing, exciting fight. I'm actually not going to be able to watch this card, guys. I was still wanting to get my predictions out there, though, but I'm not going to be able to watch it because I have, like, I'm not saying this in a bad way, but it's my anniversary with my fiance. So I'm going to have to go out. We're going to have to do something. And obviously she doesn't want to sit down and watch UFC for an entire night. You know what I mean? So I'm not, you know what? Maybe I won't have to see Barboza, Quarantillo, Holloway, or Allen lose. I like all of those guys. Same with Clay Guida, except I think Clay Guida will win. But still, guys, let me know what you think about all of these fights down below. And thank you so much for watching. On the screen right now, I will have 2 fantastic MMA videos for you to check out. I suggest you check them out, especially if you enjoy the channel. Consider subscribing. Thank you so much, everybody. I will see you in the next video. Take care.